Man, some days I am just really not sure if we'll ever make it in this JKD world. Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, Jeet Kune Do Rebel. Welcome to hour and a half later than usual special issue of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. This is number 254, the one about what does it take to truly understand Jeet Kune Do. Sorry about the late start. My apologies to all the guys in the UK because it's way past their bedtime. So I doubt very much that any of them will be able to tune in to the live stream. So my apologies to Terry Valor, Mark Black, Mick Tully, and the regular crew from the UK. As you're logging in, though, if you guys would be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button and feel free to continue doing so throughout the broadcast. If you're catching the simulcast over on the YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. If you enjoy my work and you'd like to support the program, please visit jkdrebel.com, click on the Rebel Gear link, and that's where you'll see stuff like this. The 4 tenets of Jeet Kune Do t-shirt, long sleeve, short sleeve, sweatshirt, hoodie, coffee mug, all that good stuff. But of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcasts. Okay, so this was a few weeks ago, and I forget what exactly the post was about, but somebody did make a comment that said it shouldn't take anybody that long to understand what an art is. If it takes longer than 7 years to understand something, then it's not being taught correctly. I don't remember exactly what the post was about, but obviously it was something about understanding JKD and the length of time and what have you. And so this individual assigned 7 years to it, or maybe somebody else had said something about 7 years. Maybe somebody had said he was in it for 7 years or something. Right. In any case, is that really true? Right. So it could be that it's the fault of the instructor, but in some cases it might not be. So what does understanding mean when it comes to Jeet Kune Do? Does understanding mean only that you get it on an intellectual level, or does it mean that you get it because you spend a ton of time in the actual practice of it? In the quote, the Bruce Lee quote that I use for the postcard comes from page 59 of JKD, commentaries on the martial way, right? The heading is Jeet Kune Do, not a mass art. And then the quote is, of my art, Gung Fu and Jeet Kune Do, only one of 10,000 can handle it. It is martial art, complete offensive attacks. It is silly to think almost anyone can learn it. This is very interesting. And then he continues, it isn't really contemporary forms of the art I teach. It's a really smooth, rhythmic expression of smashing the guy before he hits you with any method available. So why did Bruce Lee say this? I don't know. I wasn't there. But I know that, and you know this as well, Bruce Lee was pretty well steeped in Buddhism, different forms of Buddhism. And in Buddhism, the number 10,000 is a symbol for the innumerable. There's a Buddhist phrase that says 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. And that's meant to indicate that this journey of life is in continuous flux, right? So sometimes there's difficulties, sometimes there's easy going, kind of like there's a season for everything. So I don't think that Bruce Lee was being literal, that only one person in 10,000 would understand his Jeet Kune Do. He'd never be able to measure those numbers. I mean, what would be the metric, right? I think instead he was trying to illustrate, based on what else he said, that Jeet Kune Do training was different from the traditional or the classical approach of his time, right? At traditional schools, maybe even today, you pretty much did what you were told to do. And what you were told to do was what everyone else who had trained in that style before you was told to do. And Bruce Lee was violently opposed to this this kind of cookie cutter approach to the teaching and or the learning of martial art. So instead, Bruce Lee embarked on a journey into the study of martial art, but unencumbered by notions of like national origin or cultural differences or prearranged sequences or maybe even technical preferences, right? Bruce Lee opted to be guided by principles and commonalities which could be found in many different systems. And we know that he looked at many arts because of the personal notes that we've seen in books like the Tao of Jeet Kune Do and the aforementioned commentaries on the martial way. So to begin to understand Jeet Kune Do, it appears you must become familiar with its principles, right? Now, to my way of thinking, principles give birth to strategies. Strategies give birth to tactics, and then tactics give birth to techniques. In doing research for today's broadcast, I found this saying in an article about the book Beyond Default, and here's what it said. I think this is pretty cool. Operating principles are a powerful way of making strategy meaningful to others, especially those who were not involved in its development, right? Did you hear that last part? Right? Operating principles are a powerful way of making strategy meaningful to others, especially those who were not involved in its development, right? So it sounds to me like in order to, because how many people were there involved in the development of Jeet Kune Do? How many of those people are still alive and with us? How many of those people have contributed information and knowledge that has lived on beyond them, versus how many were not, right? So all of this, and when I say all of this, I went through all of these, right? This is Chinatown Jeet Kune Do, Jeet Kune Do from A to Z, Volume 1, Jeet Kune Do, The Way of Simplicity. I should show you the cover, shouldn't I? Jeet Kune Do, Principles for All Martial Artists, and Essential Jeet Kune Do. Do I get it together? It should go this way, right? So I browsed through different chapters in all of those in preparation for today's broadcast. And I'd say that a commonality is, here's a commonality I arrived at. In order to find the essence, you're going to have to train the principles, right? You have to train in the principles. And I like to point out that Sifu Nisano is one who has always said something like that to us, that if you get the technique, you get one thing. If you get the principle behind the technique, then you get it all, right? So if you're training the principles, that's the way to get it all. But this is where you might run into some unique Jeet Kune Do situations, because different instructors might emphasize different principles because of how they were trained. And I'm not referring to first generation. This happens in second generation instructors, third generation, happens to everybody. Because it started happening in Bruce Lee's lifetime. It wasn't so much, sometimes you hear that Bruce Lee worked differently with different people. And sometimes people think that what that means is that different people were taught completely different things. And apparently it's not so much that as it is that everybody was taught the same thing. In other words, the principles were always the same. But there might have been an emphasis on a particular aspect because of the different type of student. So with a smaller, lighter student, let's say quick, fast twitch techniques, right? The shin knee side kick and the finger jab might have been emphasized, whereas with a bigger, heavier student, Bruce Lee might have emphasized crash in the line with a leg obstruction, followed by, like, you know, what Tackett calls in his book whip and punch, right? So, and again, as Sifu Tackett says, those two approaches, one's not right and one's not wrong. They're just different. They're both JKD. They're just different. So what's a solution to all this, right? It's pretty simple. You have to take the responsibility for your own understanding. You cannot expect that an instructor is going to make you understand. Jeet Kune Do is way too individualized an endeavor, right, for your understanding to be the responsibility of somebody else. All of us in JKD, whether we're long-time students or long-time instructors, short-time students, short-time instructors, whatever, we still have to continue investigating, researching, and developing, because that's the overall guiding principle of Jeet Kune Do, or one of the overall guiding principles. It's what the founder did: investigate, research, develop. So all of his descendants should do that as well. Okay, so what say you? Do you think I hit on some salient points here about the principles of JKD? If you'd be so kind, tell me what you think are some of the major principles of Jeet Kune Do. Let me know what you think in the comments below. That's all I got to say about this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. At paypal.me/unifiedma Miami, the Jeet Kune Do Journey Volume 1 is available, the raw but edited version. Jeet Kune Do, paypal.me/unifiedma Miami. Coming up on, I don't actually, I had to message him because I don't have any pictures of him. But coming up on, is it here? Did I bring? Oh man, I left it on the other side. Okay, I'll put up a picture of it in the postcard before I go to bed. On Friday at 6 p.m. normal time, Jeet Kune Do Dialogues episode with Joseph Powell, a fellow Floridian JKD man. And some of you might recall, I've mentioned him before. I've known him for decades. He's finally agreed to make a rare physical appearance. All right. So Joseph Powell, the author of The Art and Science of the Way of the Intercepting Fist. Right. I think Joe wrote this book in 1996, and it's a product of his research into the origin sources of the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. But he's going to straighten all of that out for us on Friday at 6 p.m. Okay. All right. Today is a red day. Right. There you go. Okay. So I'll see some of you back here on Friday at 6 p.m. If not, see you next week when we get together again for another issue of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. Until then, this is Dwight Woods of Jeet Kune Do Rebel signing off with my cool coffee mug. I like it. Damn. Dunkin' Donuts all the way. All right. You guys take care. Be safe. Talk soon.